Welcome back everyone to the DCF. I am Hazard Reborn, and today is officially the 111th video upload for this channel. Kinda like Bilbo's 111th birthday. Anyway, for every 111th video the channel reaches, I would like to take the time to create a special episode in a way as a tribute at most to a specific game title or subject. I will try, since the channel's focus is primarily free-to-play titles, to keep to that range, though don't take this to be as being written in stone, as I would also like to take the time to review favorite classics of mine and other titles. So, without further ado, let's get on with the first 111th video of the DCF. I took the time to think of the first title I would like to do this special episode with, but it didn't take me too long to decide. The choice was easy, and after all, what better place to start than my all-time favorite first-person shooter title developed by id Software, the guys that birthed the genre itself, and that is Quake 3 Arena. More accurately so, this is a tribute to Quake Live, a name given to it in its new release. Quake Live is the latest iteration to the classic titles we grew to love of old, that being the Quake series, and so happens to be also a free-to-play title as well. Historically, it all started out with Quake, a dark gothic Lovecraftian hellish game with demons and shamblers and nail guns, not to mention rocket jumps, lightning guns and more. What a way to start the series with a bang, right? The second iteration to Quake was even better in many ways, I'd say, although some fans criticized its more sci-fi approach, and perhaps rightfully so in a way, since the story or theme seemed to move completely away from one universe and onto another, feeling more like two separate titles rather than a franchise. Despite that, however, Quake 2 brought more story elements and a flow to the title than Quake 1 ever did for its time, and it did give us the next most played weapon in FPS history, the railgun. I mean, Quake was really just a title where you felt you were simply tossed into hell through no explainable reason, and the point was for you to try and blast your way back out. A short while later, we got a title that was completely absent of story more or less, and the first ever player versus player focused title to be created, Quake 3 Arena. Quake 3 Arena was the first title that was from a developer themselves, focused at the arena FPS genre, and it did wonders for online gaming at the time. It was followed closely by Unreal Tournament, and thus an entire new genre dedicated to online FPS arena games was born. The great thing about Quake 3 was that it was a mix of both Quake 1 and Quake 2 themes. It pitched together both the hellish and sci-fi worlds of the previous titles, with abundant character models to choose from and a wide range of maps to test your skill on that quickly became all-time classics. I personally found hundreds of hours spent on Quake 3 Arena, as it was my main FPS fix for a long time, sometimes even on a daily basis. Years later, id Software released Doom 3 and announced Quake 4. Quake 4, a continuation to the Quake franchise, was again a sci-fi strugified world as we have come to know it. It pitched humans against genetically mutated and bionically enhanced aliens, and it continued the legacy, taking on after the story of Quake 2 and moving on forward from there. For many, Quake lost its way with Quake 2 and 4, and although this is aside from the point here, I stand by the universe created by Quake 2 and 4, and mostly so because Doom, that's a title that stepped up to take on that hellish world and keep it going, but also because I simply love that universe created in Quake 2. Although it would be nice to see a Quake 1 reboot, I still love the strugified worlds, and so my true allegiance still lies in that one title that brought them all together in one complete cyber-demonic realm, Quake 3 Arena. The defining characteristic about Quake 3 Arena was its speed and precision. Good old classic FPS mechanics means for no reloading and no weapon recoil. What you aim at is what you shoot, without needless fire spreading and whatnot. Quake 3 Arena in turn became a true test of player skill. It included rocket jumps and had a new balanced array of weapons focused on creating an arena game like no other. Railguns also returned after their debut in Quake 2, and the game was an instant win. Crowds in time began to flock to other genres, feeding the notion that the FPS genre, or more precise, the Quake and Unreal Tournament arena models, were outdated and lacking in content. This isn't quite true, however, when one takes a closer look at things. Instead of gamers moving over to other genres, the fact is that the gaming population at this time grew and kept growing exponentially, and games such as Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 Arena were simply too competitive for newcomers at this point to be a part of. This proves one thing alone, that those titles did their job on pitching player skill versus player skill, and on the contrary, lack in very small areas. Even to now, there is very little I would change to such titles. They are near perfect, just the way they are. Add to all that speed and precision, strafe jumping from Quake 3 Arena, and it becomes evidently why it was at a point a hard title for newcomers to gaming to warm up to. Quake Live was launched soon after as a free-to-play title, and was even at first launched as a browser game. Quite an accomplishment, I think. Quake Live is quite simply an updated and more balanced version to Quake 3 Arena, although it also has some simplifying in it to make it more accessible to these new generations that I don't completely agree to, like the auto jump mechanic, which is so mind-numbing I don't use it even though it is there. It is the exact same game, yet with even better visuals, slightly, and even more options such as tweaks for the heads-up display and other little neat things here and there. With new balanced mechanics to make it up to date with the Arena FPS model of our time, Quake Live includes also some changes, as already mentioned, that some hardcore Quake 3 fans, like myself, would slightly frown upon. Suffice to say, it has kept the foundation that made it popular in its prime, and although it lacks in visuals when compared to other and current Arena FPS titles of our time, it is for the same reason accessible to more players having small requirements to be experienced. Its speed and adrenaline has still to be matched to this day, although new titles are entering the scene to live up to this model with updated graphics and improved mechanics. Being now also on Steam makes it even more accessible, and any Arena FPS gamer should not miss out on checking out the title that started it all if they haven't already. There is one major element I truly frown upon though, that being the overabundant use and forcing the game to take the direction of bright maps and bright character models. This is quite naturally the evolution of the genre, however, and not something one could hold against Quake Live itself. On the contrary, so-called pro players praise this approach, even though the option to force player models was implemented for weaker PC rigs at the time and then exploited as a means to get the upper hand over the opponent. But, since everyone was doing it, this quickly became the norm to become competitive and later seen as a must to Arena FPS titles. If one truly looks at this thoroughly, it is no different to the later generations of gamers that complained about the player's skill level involved in the game and how hard it was for them to pick it up. One could say this all came from the whiners and exploiters of the early years that wanted nothing but wins. On the one hand, we have auto jump for the new generation to simplify everything for them, and on the other we have configurations and bright models to simplify everything for the older users to make everything absurdly visible and also completely ruining immersion in the meantime. This is something I strongly disagree to, but it's funny how things work out sometimes, is it not? The later generations are frowned upon when the first generations did the exact same thing and worse to exploit an advantage over their opponent, and this is now seen as a pro gamer's norm. Anyway, overall, Quake Live is still all that fast-paced, action-packed fun, and still holds up to its roots with flying colors. Some might even dare call it, even now, the king of the Arena FPS genre. I personally steer clear of such praises, especially with the ever-increasing titles in this genre, but I will say that Quake Live has earned the right to be on the top of my most played titles ever, and definitely a classic I will have a hard time ever letting go of. A timeless title that rightfully earned its 10 out of 10 from me for its day, and is still worthy even 15 years later of being part of the gaming scene. It has even been one of my primary inspirations for game development, and for those of you that don't know, the inspiration behind my own title currently in development. Well done, id Software. Quake 3 has passed the test of time, and with 15 years gone by, you truly accomplished to create a timeless classic. And that was it from the DCF this time around, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and feel free to check out the rest of the videos on the channel too. As always, this was Hazard Reborn, and I'll see you next time.